what that will be is to get in touch with our next guest. Denny Meek is going to join us. I pray to God Denny Meek joins us. So we will see what happens with Denny Meek. Where is my... I need a button. I don't have a top button on my shirt. I need to call Denny Meek. Denny Meek is going to be with us today, 1:30 Central, Wednesday at 4:30 a.m. AEST, by the way. She is 15 hours ahead of Central Time. Holy smokes. I don't see her there. Let's see if she's on the skip. I don't see her there. I don't know what's going on with Denny Meek. My car racing reporter, I guess we'll call him. The fantastic Nile Nickel is with us. He, of course, is amazing, and I've always got to talk to him each and every week. And I think it was last week we were talking about this ChatGPT thing, but we ran out of time, and we didn't get a chance to talk about this X thing. I've already had one guest today who promoted their Twitter account and said they refused to call it X. So, Nile... the thing I'm trying to figure out with this X thing is, did he name it X because he just wanted to take a brand that's been built for the last 20 years and throw it down the toilet? Or why is this thing X?
You know, whatever it is with Elon, he has had some affinity to companies named X. And one of his very first companies actually was just called X.
Yes.
So this, for him, is somewhat of a return to his roots. Now, why did you take Twitter and turn it to X? I don't know. But as soon as I saw this name change and the icon change on, all the apps and everything else, the only thing that I could think of was I've currently got one X account, if you will. I needed two more, and that way I could be a triple X account. But that was just me.
Yes.
That was just me.
Yes. It is the fantastic Nile Nickel. He's with us today here on our program. And I know that when they announced that they were going to do this X thing, many people, and you kind of went there with your last statement, many people immediately made comments about the fact that, well, if this is X, that means there's X videos. They probably did not think about X videos being an actual porn site. What are you? Was this just not thought out properly, or what?
Yeah, who knows? I think that this is a bit of his vanity, I believe. Like I said, it's a return to his roots. He, every company that he's tried to bring this X name and X brand to has distanced themselves from the name. And so, now I guess he's the primary owner of Twitter, now X, and he says, well, gosh, I finally got a company that I can call X like I want to. But, from the branding perspective and everything else, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, obviously we were talking about tweeting people, on Twitter, right? What are we going to talk about now? Xing people?
Right.
I've been divorced a couple of times. I guess I've got a couple of X's. Wait, is that Twitter or what? What are we talking about? I don't know.
Well, the thing that got me, and I've noticed a lot of people talking about this, is that, one of the most popular things on Twitter is to retweet. And when asked about what they're going to name that, they're like, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, maybe you should have done that before we did this big, large, full-scale name change.
Well, I look at some of the big companies that have went through major rebrands. If we talk about AT&T back in the day, well, they were purchased by Singular, if you remember, many
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
And they changed all of their branding, all of their signs, and all of that. And it wasn't a few years later. The next thing you know, AT&T buys Singular, and they changed everything back to the new AT&T logo. And so companies just spend lots of money on these brand names changes and all of that, and they seem to change them on a whim. I can't imagine it. But no, to me, this X wasn't well thought out.
No.
Nobody that I've talked to thus far, nobody that I've read has anything good to say about it. The only thing it does, obviously, is it puts it in the press. And what was the old statement? Any press is good press, even bad press.
Yes.
So, who knows? He's certainly getting a lot of traction from the name change, but I just can't imagine where it's going. And, of all the things that he needed to work on to improve the product, really, we need to change the name, and that's going to make it better?
Well, we have got Nile Nickel with us today. He joins us here on our big broadcast, and one of the things that I have never understood about these companies, and it happened when we were at Access TV in Salina. It has happened various places that I have either worked or been, associated with or been fans of, for whatever reason. New, as I like to refer to them, Mama G-man, gets in the door, and they immediately change things. They immediately take brands that have logos and that are, entrenched, I guess, and they immediately change everything. And I've never understood that. I don't know why we immediately have to change everything. Is there some reason? Is it because they want to make it theirs? Is that what it is?
Well, or to signify a change or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I can't make heads or tails of it.
It's so strange. It's so strange because and one of the things, and I guess this could kind of transition into my next odd topic here with the fantastic Nile Nickel. By the way, the independent freelance science, technology, and social media reporter, and you've seen him on NPR, Fox News, CNN. He's been on iHeartRadio, ABC, NBC, CBS. He's been all over the damn place. As my good friend Frank Catola would say, the web is lousy with Nile Nickel. And he joins us today here on our big program. Mergers and acquisitions is always a thing that usually happens with companies. And a lot of times, the people that are merging or acquiring always end up getting painted as the person who is winning, but in fact, they are always the person that's losing. For instance, CNN, Time Warner merges with, the Turner organization, and they immediately get rid of everybody who worked at Turner, or if there was something like WCW, they immediately sell it. Sirius XM, that was painted as this big merger. And we're going to have synergy and all these other corporate speak. And Sirius immediately fires all the XM people. So it is always so interesting when it comes to all these things, is that these companies who merge or buy things usually immediately get rid of the things that were successful that they bought. It's always so strange to me, Nile.
I've been in telecom for a good part of my life, and it's where
Yes.
I do a lot of my technology work and legal stuff and all that. But,
Yes.
I look at all these mergers, and one of the things that I know is, listen, go back in the day, and I don't know, how many listeners will remember this, but there was this company called Nextel. And
Yes.
Nextel had these push-to-talk radios with cell phones, and
Yes.
contractors loved them because you could talk one-to-one, you could talk one-to-many. It was a handy device to have. And along comes a company by the name of Sprint, and they buy Nextel, and they're going to keep it together. In fact, the merged company started out being called Sprint Nextel, and it was probably within about 18 months. All of a sudden, the Nextel name went away, and probably another 12 months, all the Nextel people were gone, all the Nextel products were gone, and Sprint actually ended up giving away money, not picking up anything as a result of the merger. But, that's one perfect example. But I could repeat that example, with T-Mobile, who just bought Sprint. And, they had to divest themselves of Boost. And Boost is with a company called Dish now, a satellite company. And, you see the stuff that goes on, and you see the changes and the people that are affected. And all the power brokers that seem to make these decisions, they don't seem to care much about all that.
Well, and the only thing that I've ever been able to think about that with all these mergers and acquisitions and these companies and all these things, the only person that ever merged or was acquired, and in the end, they won, was this recent acquisition by the Ultimate Fighting Championships parent company, Endeavor, when they purchased the WWE. And if you go back and you look at the CNBC interview that happened the day after they bought it, and Vince McMahon sitting up there looking like Snidely Whiplash from Wacky Races, or that, I compare it to that, or he looks like he needs to be tying someone to a railroad track somewhere. He ends up doing the most Vince McMahon thing ever, and he's the one that wins. They buy his company, so he gets a payout, but they bought his company, and he gets to be retained, and they're going to form a brand new publicly traded company, and he is the number 2 guy in that company. And I'm like, this is the first time that someone who was merged and who was purchased ends up winning. And I'm like, of course it was Vince McMahon. He's the only one in the world to ever be able to pull this off. So I just find that amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now I know at some point in time we're going to make the transition back into the world of AI.
Yes.
Because we talked about it.
Yes, because at some point, Vince is working on an idea to cut his brain out and put it into some sort of computer somewhere so he can live forever. Vince McMahon will become AI.
Yeah, well, what are we going to call it? Vince AI?
I don't know, but it'll have probably a really long, horrible name, and we'll just have to deal with it. Plans change, pal. That's just how it is.
So you were playing around with ChatGPT.
Yes, and I even did so yesterday when I and even up until last Friday, and I will get to that. I will tell you about that story, but go ahead, Nile. What you were saying there?
Well, you've learned all of the really fascinating things that it could do and generate for you.
Yes.
But
including excoriation letters, but we'll get into that here in a few.
So there is another part of ChatGPT, and I say ChatGPT, it's actually part of OpenAI, which is the AI company that has ChatGPT.
Yes.
And this product, if you go on to ChatGPT and you log in, it's called DALL-E, DALL-E.
DALL-E.
Now, if you go to DALL-E and you upload a picture of yourself, and you think about some event, some place, some attire, some situation that you want to be in, it will generate a complete AI picture that looks 100% realistic from the AI. You just tell it what you want. I'm a big IndyCar race fan, right?
Go.
So I put my picture in there, and I said, put me in an Indy race car. Show me the picture of me in a car. Guess what it shows me? It generates it all by itself, and it's amazing. If you don't like it, you tell it to regenerate it, and it will, make whatever improvements you tell it to make. I told it to put me in a Penske car, and of course, it put me in an Andretti car, and I figured that was better anyway, but that's just me.
Well, one of the things that we did last week, and I did this last Friday, and I am very happy that I was able to make this work. But in the past, myself and the fabulous Ross Long of I guess Ross Long fame, I don't know, the rabble rousing ringleader, as we call him. Him and I have in the past done what he refers to as excoriation letters to various public officials and higher ups.
Oh my goodness!
And of course, everyone knows public officials, whether they are whatever level of world they are in, they do not like getting letters. And I went ahead and we've done this in the past where we generate the letter. And last week, there was a gentleman that I work out with on a pretty regular basis. He is a technically blind boxing coach, but what he has gotten into doing over the last couple of years is he mentors homeschoolers on weightlifting practices, and a lot of times during their workouts, he will quote scripture, and we'll talk about the Bible and how it applies to what they're trying to do in the weight room. And he does this at a place called the YMCA, which, of course, as we all know, stands for Young Men's Christian Association. Well, last Friday...
I thought it was a gay song.
Yes. Well, last Friday, the local YMCA here in Hutchinson, Kansas, tossed Ken out and canceled his membership. So I was really angry about this, and me and a couple other people sent letters. Well, one of the letters that I sent was I got into ChatGPT, and I told it exactly what I wanted it to come up with. And wow, did it come up with an excoriation letter that I sent to the local YMCA. And wouldn't you know, Friday after I sent this letter, about 8 o'clock in the evening, the head of the YMCA called up Ken, told him he didn't know why they canceled his membership and they'd like him to come back on Monday. So,
that is too funny.
I used ChatGPT to generate as Ross would say, an excoriation letter. So, yes.
Well, if you want to talk about nefarious tactics for this right now.
Nefarious. There we go. Yes.
You can tell it to generate 500 unique letters for you.
Oh, no, don't give me numbers, Nile. Don't give me numbers.
And guess what it will do for you?
Wow. That is amazing.
So you could have 500 unique letters that will not sound the same.
Oh, no.
So
You're just full of ideas today, baby. Well,
it's a new world.
It is a new world. Yes, it is. It is amazing. So another story, which I just saw this, and I guess this is where we'll end it today. And I'm sure you haven't probably seen this yet because this is, I think, a fairly new story. Apparently there is a story out of something called the Daily Star, which sounds like a trusted news source. The world's first robot CEO has warned AI could take Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg's jobs. Apparently, Mika, I don't know who Mika is, but she is the world's first AI chief executive officer.
Oh,
And,
I've met Mika, actually.
Oh, no, you met Mika. That is amazing. Was Mika at the gimmick in Vegas in January? Was she at the trade show?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, damn it! I wish I would have been able. If I would have known about Mika, I would have went upstairs or downstairs.
She's been at a number of them. She is the first robot, and it started out with just sort of the head and shoulders, but they've expanded Mika. And I think her current state is she could actually walk around.
Yes, the picture it has here, she's got arms and legs and.
Yep, but she's had the full face with full facial expressions, carries on a sort of regular conversation with people. But she has been, and I forget the company that has been promoting her.
Let's see. She runs drinks from Firm Dictador? DICTADOR.
Somebody has contracted with, I think Boston Dynamics was the company that was with her. But they were certainly the company that I think made her move. But needless to say, she recognizes facial expressions from somebody she's talking with. She has a face. I mean, and it's a very attractive face.
Yes, she looks like a school teacher.
Yeah, and so it's you could go on YouTube if you haven't done this and look at some of the interviews with her. In fact, she was on the Jimmy Fallon show a couple of years ago. It's really fascinating.
Apparently, she also has a sister named Sophia.
That's correct.
Who has become the first bots to address a United Nations conference, which is fantastic. Let's have AI go over and talk to the UN.
Are they going to do any worse? Come on.
Next, you're going to have Sophia and her sister will show up at a Bilderberg conference and address the New World Order. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think we're getting closer to the Terminator here. What can you say?
Hey, I'll tell you, if Klaus Schwab and all those guys think they're tough. I don't think they've met anything if these AI people decide that they're going to just, go off the reservation, as they used to say.
Well, I don't know if I had told you, but just a few weeks ago, the robots held a conference together, not exaggerating, and they all agreed to a pledge where they would not do anything to harm humanity. And we should feel very assured by that.
That kind of disappoints me. That kind of disappoints me. But Nile Nickel has been our guest today. Of course, we love Nile. Nile, before we let you go, how do we get in touch with you on the social media and all the other places?
Well, go to that X platform now. Just get me.
Yes,
X. Nile Nickel. And you could find me there, chat with me there, ask me questions, and I'm always happy to respond.
That's awesome. Well, Nile, you are amazing. I always love our little chats, even though sometimes they're not really that well organized, but they are entertaining as always. And I will definitely...
You can always find a wall to bounce off of. That's all I can say.
Yes, as they say. I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you for doing this, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you, Nile.
All the best, my friend.
Appreciate it, brother. There he goes. Fantastic. Nile Nickel. That wraps it up here for this segment. We are going to take a brief time out.